If you've ever driven down Huntington Drive in Arcadia, you may have seen this really unique Denny's. So what's the deal with the Windmill? This is actually the last remaining, fully intact vandekamps coffee shop building, a chain that once dotted Southern California and whose baked goods were a staple in grocery stores and household pantries. The vandekamps name today is associated with frozen fish sticks, but to many Californians, the name brings up memories of baked goods, coffee, and windmills. In 1915, Theodore Vandekamp, along with his sisters Maryam and Henrietta's husband, Lawrence O. Frank, started selling potato chips from a food stand in downtown LA. Their Saratoga chips were a hit. They'd often sell out after just 2 hours, with Henrietta and Maryam taking orders while dressed in Dutch costumes. A potato shortage forced them to pivot to other products, so they began selling baked goods and changed the name of their business to Vandekamps Holland Dutch Bakery in 1916. In 1921, they opened their first bakery store with their signature windmill, followed 2 years later with the opening of their first coffee shop. In 1930, they built a large bakery and headquarters in Glassell Park to support their continuing growth. Alongside their baked goods, their restaurants became famous for their fried halibut, which would eventually lead to Vandekamps branching out into frozen seafood. When Theodore Vandekamp passed away in 1956, the family split the company in two, the bakeries and the frozen food divisions. Both divisions were bought by different companies, with the frozen foods continuing to be sold to this day. Unfortunately, the bakeries did not fare as well. In 1990, Vandekamps Dutch Bakeries filed for bankruptcy, and the Glassell Park facility closed. The building sat vacant for many years, but was luckily saved and renovated and is now a satellite campus of LA City College. The Vandekamps brand continued to be used by Ralph's for their private label baked goods until the late 2010s, when they phased them over to Kroger. The remaining coffee shops also changed hands, eventually being taken over by Denny's, who was fortunately convinced to preserve and restore the Arcadia location. Unfortunately, a fire damaged the building in 2021, but reconstruction is ongoing, and hopefully you'll be able to grab a cup of coffee and a pastry under the spinning windmill again soon.